Fans rally to bring Jackson into the Rings of Power, but can he actually fix it? What's going on out there, everybody? We're going to talk about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Amazon's little pet project that seems to be doing nothing but just bleeding money. Well, I don't know about all of you, but I just know that this show, its musical score, I enjoy it. I really do enjoy the musical score, but the story is so slow, mostly boring, and when there is action, even the action is somewhat boring. But now we got fans out there petitioning Peter Jackson to come into Amazon's Rings of Power to see if he can fix it. Question is, would he? And even if he offered, would Amazon accept? And the showrunners, would they accept it? Or, Lord willing, Amazon would kick them to the curb and put Peter in their place. There's a lot of spin control here and damage that needs to be done if it's even fixable. Before we continue with this article, please click the like and subscribe button if you want to see more like this. Please, it would be greatly appreciated. Now, let's get into the Rings of Disaster. By now, it's obvious that Lord of the Rings of Power, fell short of the expectations despite its massive budget. Just because you have a massive budget doesn't mean you know what you're doing, or you have competent writers, or a cast that can actually make you feel sympathy or even empathy for the story, which is part of the problem here. No one really cared. I mean, how many of you out there have heard the stories about, oh, we wish the orcs would come along, or even Sauron would come along and wipe them all out? I mean, it's just flat out ridiculous how bad things got here. 8 episodes in, and only maybe about an episode and a half of action, and even at that it was slow. It is disputable whether the series has flopped outright. Well, I don't know. But it is certainly received poorly by the majority of the fans on the most discussion platforms across the web. Some people even as far as to make a petition on Change.org, urging Amazon to give the series to Peter Jackson, the acclaimed director of the Lord of the Rings movie trilogies, so they can salvage this subsequent series. Of course, even among Tolkien book fans who are especially embittered by the Rings of Power treatment of their favorite fantasy universe, the majority recognize that such a petition is not going to accomplish anything. As I said, there's a lot of damage. There's a lot of damage here, and I just don't know if it's salvageable, and even if Peter can do anything about it. They have committed themselves to 5 seasons, and it's just going to be interesting to see if they can pull this off. Even if they can't get Peter in, is there any chance of repairing the damage? As I pointed out in a previous article, or in a previous video, the showrunners claimed that they had recognized the fans' complaints and were going to do some changes, but the scripts had already been written for the second season, so there wasn't much they could probably do about it. Some have argued that article that I talked about basically was the showrunners basically saying to us, we'll do what we can, but for the most part, we're done. You deal with it. You take it. On the other hand, I understand that Amazon has pretty much told, again, the showrunners, that you need to fix this. We have a lot of money invested in this. Fix it now. Even if by some miracle the petition gains real momentum, and then by some greater miracle Amazon listens to it, what would come of it? Can Peter Jackson change the Rings of Power for the better after its first season has already set this in stone so much plot and characterization? The realistic answer to that is no, he probably can't. While some dubious creative decisions undoubtedly came from Jackson himself, time constraints and studio pressure, while resulting in making 3 movies instead of 2, almost certainly played a major role, and that happened when Jackson took over a project in its relatively early stages from a director who was in communication with him earlier. It is certainly possible that Jackson can make a better job than the Rings of Power current showrunners. That is, frankly, not a very high bar, no kidding. But seriously improving the series at this point without scrapping it and starting pretty much from scratch, which Amazon is not going to approve, will require yet another miracle. Peter Jackson is a talented director, but he is no wizard. Oh, come on now. There's probably a way to make that whole thing repairable. Maybe Galadriel was just having a bad dream and she woke up and she realized it was a premonition that things are coming her way. I don't know. But as I've said before, when it comes to that particular character, all I see in her is Xena, warrior princess, just without her famous screaming yell. My friends, it would be amazing to see if Peter Jackson could come back and do this. I don't think he would, but if he did, it would be incredible to see how they could just, even if it is even fixable. What do all of you think about this? Could Peter fix this? Is it fixable? And are you willing to sit by and watch another 4 seasons? Well, my friends, please drop your comments below. I would love to hear more. I'd love to hear from you. I'm W.F.S, your doctor. Until the next time, God bless you, my friends.